121. Room 1221.
Welcome back to Room 1221 Live. As always, the conversations are real, honest, and encouraging, educating, and what should I say, empowering. Today's conversation is one most of you will be very excited to hear about. So if you're here, stay tuned, share the link with your friends, and get everybody on and ready to hear what we have to talk about. Today, we're talking about sexual pleasure and mental health. And I have with me two very interesting guests. I've got Dr. Dako again and Bright. Could you please introduce yourselves, Dr. Dako?
Okay, so again, my name is David Romadako, and I am a physician assistant that works at Guy's Municipal Hospital. And I'm glad to be on the show once again.
Okay, so my name is Bright Kobler. I'm a professional counselor. And I'm excited to be here today.
Welcome, Bright. Welcome again, Dr. Dako. So today we're talking about sexual pleasure and mental health, and I think it's quite an interesting topic, isn't it?
Very true.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get the ball rolling. Right. Would you say that sexual pleasure is really important for mental well-being and overall well-being?
Yes, sexual pleasures are very important because one underlying truth is that we are sexual beings. And so as sexual beings, we need that to be able to move on with our daily activity. Maybe this is too early, but sexual pleasures helps to control or manage stress and other mental health conditions.
Dr. Dako, would you say that, I mean, I'm sure Dr. Bright has touched on it a little, but would you really say that sexual pleasure helps to reduce anxiety, helps boost mood and things?
I would say that I would definitely say it boosts mood. For anxiety, it's a very dicey topic, because it's actually a physical process where there's a release of endorphins and dopamine when you have a sexual pleasure. Anytime you do something that's pleasurable, anything pleasurable at all, I'm sure you've heard it before, but there's always a release of dopamine. Even when you're scrolling on TikTok, there's this sense of feeling we get. That's a release of endorphins and dopamine to make us feel good. So yes, when there is sexual pleasure, there is still that same release. And it's much more than usual. So of course, your mood would definitely be boosted. Anxiety is a dicey topic. I wouldn't exactly say that I can say it can improve it. I can't say it solves anxiety.
Okay.
That's the best I can say.
So, I mean, it can improve it in the moment, but for solving it,
not really,
not so much. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, now let's move into a little more serious side of the topic, right? Would you say that shame or trauma or, some cultural upbringing could suppress people's sexual pleasure or people's sexual expression?
Yes, it does. So I'll take off from where the dog landed. And so anxiety, depression, trauma, I would not like to give the technical names, but all these things has great impact on sexuality and how one or two people enjoy sex. And just as I said, sex is very important in our daily life.
Yeah.
And so if one is exposed to something traumatic, especially something sexual, a sexual trauma, it has impact on the individual long term. And so there are times we have partners who don't show interest in sex, and it could be because of a traumatic experience they have had.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be with even a close relative. It could be with a stranger. And that has changed the wiring of the brain. Mm-hmm. Because if one appreciates what mental health is, it has to do with the state of the mind where an individual is able to cope with the stresses of life. And so when one is exposed to anything traumatic, it impacts the person's sexual life.
Yeah.
And so if you have a partner who is not too interested in sexual pleasures or intimacy, you need to begin to seek for help. Depression can also impact because it reduces libido, sexual arousal, and all of those things are impacted by these mental health conditions. And sometimes these are very silent in the society because mental health is something we don't really pay attention to. However, it is something that exists. A recent study shows or informs us that in Ghana, among the young people, particularly, depression and anxiety is one of the leading mental health condition among young people, especially the Gen Zs and the millenniums and the others. And so it's something that is very important that we have to pay attention to if we really want to enjoy that part of our lives.
Okay. So it really does affect.
It really does. It really does.
Thanks, friends. Dr. Darko, my question is a very interesting one, actually. Would you say that suppressing my sexual needs would affect me or affect my mental health?
Suppressing your sexual needs? Not really.
Not really.
Because they are how would I put it? If you decide to, people make the mistake of taking that topic alone and broadening that topic. But if you look at what, like the entire circle, the bigger picture, you realize that there are so many more things that can impede your mental health than sexual, pleasure.
Yeah.
Like deciding to suppress it. Because if that's the case, then we should see a lot of, virgins that are on the streets or like have problems. But you rather see them as people who are actually, they feel, you can tell they don't have this burden on their shoulders. They are more, they don't have problems. You get it?
No one is in their business.
No one is in their business. You don't have problems. So I would rather see that if you are having multiple sexual partners, if you start to have these problems of mental health issues rather than suppressing your sexual needs. Okay. If you say suppress your sexual needs, that means that if I'm looking at the context, it means that you are sexually active, trying to suppress it. That's exactly how I'm going to take it in context. If that's what you're doing, I don't think that's a problem.
It's not a problem.
That's all.
So what about those men who have been saying that I've not had sex in a while, I'm feeling down. My confidence is...
They are not serious. Because I remember there's this saying a lot of the time that is being spoken about that. I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but if you're able to be disciplined and keep your thing in your pants, you succeed a lot in life. Because, truth be told, every time a man has intercourse, there is this, I think all men can attest to it, there is this, you lose this, how do I put it? You lose this sense of, this essence from you. You don't, if you are, let's see, I don't know if you heard of the no fuck challenge or something like that.
Yeah.
There's this challenge where guys will not, because in the West, they masturbate like. So it's like there's this, it's so much that there's a challenge. Yeah. Deep it. It's a challenge. So it's like for the next 30 to 60 days, they don't masturbate. And you realize that they start to have this focus towards their activities.
Yeah.
That should tell you that it's not because not having sex is not a problem.
Okay.
When you rather not decide to do it and you focus, because it's an energy. I know this is moving, but if you're able to channel that energy, that mental energy into your work, into other activities, you will not have a problem.
Okay.
So yes, there's not a problem if you suppress it sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Darko. All right. Would you say that sexual intimacy, sexual exploration, and sexual pleasure could be a way of self-care and self-love?
Okay, so I think I would like to narrow it down because sexual exploration could lead to different things, could lead to certain unwanted activities or STIs and stuff and all of that. But when we talk about having intimacy with your partner, as in within your, as in you and your partner, you gain more satisfaction, more confidence. There is this bond, this social support that the brain needs to be able to function in a full capacity. And so sexual pleasure helps us to be able to, because I said earlier about sexual pleasure helping us deal with stress.
Yes.
So imagine you have a very stressful day, you come back, and you, as a couple, you get back and you enjoy the moment together.
Yeah.
Now, enjoying the moment together, it's a physical exercise as well. And so by the time you are done with everything, enjoy every bit of it. And now you go to bed, you realize that you are able to sleep soundly.
Sure.
Now, when you sleep soundly, it impacts your mental health. Because if you think, I don't want to give too much statistics, but if you think mental health condition, almost all of them have sleep disorders in there. Almost all of them have sleep disorders in there. And so if one is unable to sleep and you are able to have that when you have pleasure with your partner, I think it's a good one.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brett. Dr. Dapo, back to you. How would you say that sexual pleasure affects mental health and vice versa?
That and vice versa. I think your mental health plays a very huge role. I think Brad has already spoken of that. It plays a very, very huge role because let me give a scenario, right? You meet a guy, in terms of a guy, let's say a guy, you meet a girl, a lady person, right? And she doesn't look in her best state enough to attract you, to want to do something. But then you meet someone else who is endowed in every way and very beautiful. Immediately, you get attracted. The difference here was not your body, it was your mind. That's mentally. That's what really affects the sexual pleasure. And it's known that in females are much more, their mental health is directly correlated to the pleasure that they feel, right? So you hear a lot of people talking about, like, let's move to like orgasm, right? A lot of the time, males find it very easier to do than females, and that's because of the mental state. You have to take time to bring a girl to that point or a female to get to that point before they cannot have such an experience. But a lot of people forget or they don't even realize that that's the issue. Let me not even say people, men. Yeah, because
it's always you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't realize that because in their experience, they don't have to do a lot of work to get their mind to that point.
Yeah.
Right. They're already there most of the time. But with females, it takes time. And most of the time, you need to take them from a particular point. If you have to take them from having to think about it, to a long process.
Yeah.
So yes, your mental health definitely affects it. So you still see, for example, there's trauma. Like you have had the issue of a rape. A female would never feel the same about that particular situation or experience again. It's been very, very hard because there's been some damage or some trauma to their mental health, which is affecting their sexual pleasure. So yes, there is definitely a correlation between those two.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now the next one is to both of you, and this one is quite interesting. How can I show up in the world? How can I express myself as a sexual entity, a sexual being, without being weird about it or without being pervy about it, without making other people uncomfortable? I think, right, you can go first.
Okay. So I think one has to pay close attention to content.
Yeah.
where you find yourself. Now, if you find yourself in a Ghanaian setting where sexuality is not expressed openly, and you begin to do that, you are looking for trouble for yourself because people will begin to tag you. And if you are not mentally stable, that would affect you in the long run.
Yeah.
And so you should first and foremost understand where you find yourself, the context, because context is very important. Now, the next thing I'll add is you need to be aware of yourself. That is very important. And it's being aware of yourself is connected to your body image as well. Understanding your body and believing in who you are, how you were created, how you were made, and believing that you have certain capacities. So that is one key way of expressing oneself. Because in as much as we are sexual beings, we are not sexual. It's not just sexual.
Yes.
Because when people see you and the first thing they see is sex or you as a sexual being, then there's an issue.
True.
They should see you as a person first, a person endowed with something to contribute to society. Then if it goes beyond that level into a very intimate point, then they can see that. But if the first point of encounter or interaction you want to give out is that I am sexual, I think that will not be helpful in the content you find yourself.
All right. Thank you, Brett. That's back.
So the question was, if you be found weird, how can you express yourself as a sexual being
without being weird about it or without being
There's no way. Not be true. Because like what he said, I like what he said. He said you have to be endowed as an individual, has to be seen as a person endowed as an individual to contribute to society first, before being anything else. And that's where your identity comes in. So if what people see about you is a sexual being, that's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. So a lot of people find this controversial because there are a lot of perspectives that are being multiplied, and the truth is it's not the best thing. There's no way to see, because there would definitely be people who would have issues with it. Me for one, if I saw you, or like the first thing I see on your bio on Instagram is that I'm a sexual being, I would think there's an issue. Yeah, I would definitely think there's an issue, because what would cause you to think that way or to sit well with such an idea? Because there's something else before that, right? Because if I want to say something, but when you're watching, we don't see your private parts, we see your face, right? And that's how we identify you. So why do you want to go and change that? Otherwise, you should be walking around with it. Everybody should be seeing that, I don't know if you got what I mean.
Yeah, but some people are very sexually expressive. Some people want to be...
Yeah, they have to do something. There's a problem. Like, honestly, there is. Like, you should check their upbringing.
They have to come and see Brighton.
Yeah. If you see people like that, it seems like, there's an issue. No, I think there's definitely an issue, but you should check those people and check their upbringing. Check what they were exposed to, what's the verified as right and not wrong. That's where it starts from. Their perspectives, and they grow up with it. Sometimes even some of them is trauma. They hide behind their insecurities and their trauma, and they put themselves out there like that. A lot of actors in the adult industry. I don't want to use some certain things, I just want to make it. But in the adult industry, a lot of them, people don't know this, a lot of them hide behind those things because they run away from certain things. So definitely, if you are going to be identified as a sexual being first, I don't think it's the best thing.
It's an issue.
It's an issue.
All right. Thank you. Now, Brett, back to you. What about, exploring and some solo exploration, journaling, just finding out what works for me, so I'm really sure about what makes me happy, what pleasures me. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, let me just say that as an individual, you should be able to be able to know your body,
Yeah.
examine your body, know what is what where. So as a woman, you should be able to know how your body, your breast, I don't know if that's how it feels, how it is. Like you should be able to pay attention to the body.
Yeah.
Because there are times people don't pay attention to the body. I'm sure Doug will attest to this, where then certain things begin to develop and they just don't know that this is not normal. And so I would rather say that pay attention to your body. Be a friend to your body first. Now, when it comes to solo exploration further, it's a place I'm very careful because in certain setting, especially sexual sex therapy, it is given as a prescription.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
It is given as a prescription in certain sex therapy.
Should I ask?
Okay, if you want to
ask?
ask.
Please tell us. Just only two. In which context?
As in what?
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, maybe a couple is having issues with arousal, getting up, and so you are taught how to masturbate. Okay, in a very clinical context between the two of you, so it's a couple something. So where the two of you would be able to get there, because everybody, in fact, this is a topic we have to talk about. But it's a little technical.
Yeah.
It has a mixture of religion as well, faith as well in it. But what I just want to say is that you should be able to know your body. That is very important. And for the solo exploration, just be careful. It lead you to something else.
To something else. Okay.
Because it's a if you check, even if you like try to Google it or try to find certain things about this, you realize that they put it strictly in context that medically this and this and this is what happens when you do it. But if you look at things like the bigger picture again, if you are doing it continuously, like that's basically your lifestyle. Because you see, we implement these things into our lives. Every action we do becomes a habit eventually. So if we are going to acknowledge it as a thing that is good and right, that means it's something we can repeatedly do and it becomes a habit or a lifestyle. Now, if you're going to look at that over a long term, people don't usually talk about things that happen long term. They talk about things that happen short term because human beings have foresight rather than, But if you look at things long term and you study these people that are doing these long term, you realize they start to have issues. One, they start to now be attracted to themselves more than the opposite sex. That's one. And that's a problem. Now, when someone, you see, now the mental issues start to now come in.
Yeah.
Because now when there's someone they have to have that thing with, they just don't feel that satisfaction when they have it with themselves. Because, I mean, you've used so many things. What can we do for you? And there is a connection when you're with your partner, right? When you have been unadulterated and you are with your sexual partner and something springs out of it, that's something that you don't get anyway.
Yeah.
But you decide to go for solo exploration. You will definitely explore, right? And you will find. But some of these things is so, you realize that that's the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
There are ways to, but not every way is right. So you see, that's where your will comes into play, that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And medically, again, medicine is not the entirety of everything. That's the truth. It's useful because we have science, okay, and our science is now applied and broken down into many things. Medicine is an application of science, right? So it's applied for a particular purpose. So you don't use that to base it off of your entire life. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So medically, your body can do this, do that. You can do this for that. But there's a scripture in the Bible. I've forgotten what scripture it says, but I can't remember what it is. Not everything is profitable. I can't remember. But it's not everything that is the way to go or the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that's my take.
I want to add something brief. Just a short one. If you realize that you have started some solo exploration and you can't stop it, please seek help. I think that's the long and short of it. Because we start and we get hooked to it and it's an issue.
Yeah.
So if you have started something and you can't stop, maybe solo, maybe you have started certain things and that is the only thing, please seek help. It's not natural.
You heard the counselor. Please call 1221 and I'll link you to him. But before we close, I have one last question for both of you. It's not really a question, but we've spoken a lot about sexual pleasure and mental health, and it's seeming like there's a lot of balance and moderation and not doing things in excess, not overdoing things. As your closing statements, your final words, what would you say to our viewers, and how would you advise them to find that balance healthily so that everything can be, perfect. Everything can be great with them when it comes to their sexual pleasure, sexual health, and then their mental health as well.
I'm sure dog will start.
Okay. I think the first thing that I'll say is like what our counselor said. Know your body. That's the first thing. Like know your body, know your in and outs in general. And also don't be shy to also know your body, like as in explore the information about your sexual part of your body. Understand it. But also don't be in a rush. I feel like that's where a lot of people make mistakes with. Don't be in a rush because sometimes they're just not worth it. Right? You express so many things to the point where there'll be so much damage to your mental health that it will be hard to come back. And even if you do, you'd have lost so much within the time of coming back that you could have spent on doing other things as in growing as an individual.
Yeah.
So you don't rush. You take your time. Understand what you're doing. Right? And for those who have experienced trauma, right, it's a battle. It's a battle that you have to fight with your mind for a period of time and every day. But there is still light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's what I would say.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Right.
Okay. So as a therapist, I would just say that seek help. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Because sometimes we go through things and we think we could manage it alone. Please seek help. Therapy is not for only people who are mentally unstable, but people want to improve the quality of their life. And so if there are things that are not going too well, please seek help.
Thank you, Brian. All right. You heard the doctor and you heard the counselor. Seek help, do things in moderation, know yourself, and you should be fine. And you'll live a happy life. My name is Ivy. I've been your host as usual. Don't forget to reach us on 1221 if you have any questions or inquiries. Catch you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Room 1221. Room 1221.